Hello and welcome to Extra Innings, everybody. I am your host, Van Noland. I'm joined tonight, as usual, by Owen Noland. The World Series is upon us. The most important time of the baseball year for most baseball fans, I guess, unless your team, well, not necessarily unless your team isn't in it, but maybe you are mad that your team got eliminated, in which case you might be boycotting the World Series. But it should be a very exciting series between the Boston Red Sox and the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to start the show off taking a look back at how they got here. Last Tuesday, Boston took a 2-1 series lead over the Astros, and the Dodgers tied the series with the Brewers at 2 apiece. The Dodgers went on to win Game 5 by 3 runs, thanks to a 7-inning 1-run performance from Clayton Kershaw. Also on that Wednesday, October the 17th, the Boston Red Sox extended their series lead to 3-1 over the Houston Astros. Rick Porcello, not his strongest outing, but I guess he did do enough to get the Red Sox a win. He can really thank the bullpen for that one. 5 innings, 2 runs. The Astros bullpen, I guess you could say, was on the other side of that. Josh James came in after a short outing from Charlie Morton and gave up three runs. Lance McCullers Jr. gave up a run, and Ryan Presley gave up a run. So the Astros let that game slip away at home. So at that point, they were already 0 for 2. No wins, 2 attempts at home. And Game 5 saw a similar result. The Astros losing by 3 to the Red Sox. Again, the Astros were at home. So the Astros lost 3 consecutive home games after taking the first game of the series and lost to the Boston Red Sox in 5 games. David Price got his first career postseason victory. We mentioned last week that he started a game in which his postseason team won. Well, now he actually gets credit in the win column for a victory after the Game 5. So I'm sure that feels good for him as well as all of the Red Sox fans. The NL series was a little closer. After the series was tied at 2, the series played one final game in Los Angeles, which the Dodgers ended up winning. Actually, I already told you about this. They took the 3-2 series lead. And then when the series shifted back to Milwaukee, the Brewers saw a new sign of life and came out and beat the Dodgers 7-2 last Friday. That evened the series up at 3 and set up a Game 7 the next day. The Brewers jumped out to an early 1-0 lead in the first, but the Dodgers quickly responded with 2 in the top half of the second and did not look back from there. The Dodgers did not allow a run the rest of the way. Walker Buehler went 4 2/3. Urias, Madison Jansen, and Clayton Kershaw, of all people. Kershaw in the last inning, not officially a save, but shut the door on the Brewers season. the Brewers pitched Yolis Chastain, who, although he did not pitch bad, did give up 2 runs in 2 innings, and in the Game 7, that was enough. Josh Hader ended up pitching 3 innings, so it was really life or death at that point for the Brewers, down by a run when he entered. He kept it that way, only allowing a hit and a walk. But it was Jeremy Jeffress who gave up 2 runs later in the game that really gave the Dodgers their breathing room, and they went on to win Game 7 of the NLCS. Sunday and Monday, unfortunately, there was no playoff baseball. But the World Series did start tonight. Tonight's game is currently in the top half of the 7th inning. The Red Sox have the 5-4 lead in a back-and-forth affair. The Red Sox jumped out to an early 2-0 lead in the bottom of the first. The Dodgers got a run in the top of the second, a run in the top of the third to tie it. The Red Sox, though, would respond in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Thanks to a J.D. Martinez double. This was right after the Dodgers thought they turned a double play, but Stephen Pierce was ruled safe at first and the call was overturned. That gave the Red Sox new life with 2 outs, and Martinez was able to come up clutch for the Red Sox and give the Red Sox at the time a 3-2 lead. In the top half of the 5th inning, the Dodgers would strike back and tie up the ball game. Manny Machado grounded out, but Brian Dozier came around and scored on the play. And then in the bottom of the 5th inning, the Dodgers got 2 more runs. A very similar situation. Xander Bogaerts hit a ground ball to Manny Machado, and the runner at second was out, but Bogaerts beat out the throw to first base. So hustle by the Red Sox has plated them 2 runs in the ballgame, really the difference so far as they currently hold a 1-run lead. 2 double plays that could have ended the inning for the Dodgers turned into runs for the Red Sox. In the top half of the 7th inning, Manny Machado had a sacrifice fly to score Max Muncy, Machado's 2nd RBI of the game. And the Dodgers are now within 1 as we speak. We are going to get to our predictions for the series. It's, I guess, technically a little late, but we don't really know who's going to win this game, so we will just go ahead and give you our predictions for the whole series now. Owen, go ahead and tell me who you have winning, why, and make sure you tell me how many games when you say who wins.
I have the Boston Red Sox in 6 games. I just think when you look at this team, they've got really no holes. And you can make the argument for the Dodgers, although I think the Dodgers are a little bit too reliant on matchups, lefty versus righty matchups. And not that that's a bad thing by any means. I just think the Red Sox are the most complete team in baseball this year. And in 2018, there's not a team in the major leagues that can beat the Boston Red Sox. You saw it all regular season. You've seen it in the postseason, taking out the defending champion Houston Astros in the ALCS in just 5 games. They are the definition of a complete team. There's not a hole. Their pitching is good. Their fielding is good. Their hitting is great. So I think the Boston Red Sox in 6 win the World Series.
Yes, I actually would agree with you. I have the exact same prediction in the exact same amount of games, too. I think the Red Sox win in 6.
Well, that's not very exciting if we both have the same prediction.
Well, that's what I think is going to happen, so.
Not very exciting for the listeners. They'd like to hear us disagree, maybe start an argument on here, but we agree this time.
Yes,
so.
We do agree this time.
How about this? Who do you think World Series MVP?
I will say Mookie Betts. Already has a hit tonight. He's scored 2 runs. He's walked. He's just the type of player that can take over a series, not only with the bat, but with the glove as well. Plays phenomenal.
He might move to the infield when the series shifts to LA to get JD Martinez's bat in the lineup.
Yes. Well, he came up as an infielder.
Yeah, so it's not...
Yeah, so real versatile. If he does something like that and we see some good defensive plays out of him, maybe in the infield or in the outfield as well, he's already made some phenomenal plays this postseason. But I could definitely see that as a possibility. Who do you think will win World Series?
I'm going to go with the guy I previously mentioned in JD Martinez. He's already got an RBI double in this postseason, actually in this World Series, Game 1, I should say. And all year he's been one of, if not the best hitter in the American League. You could make an argument for yours, Mookie Betts, your pick Mookie Betts as well. I think JD Martinez will come up with a big hit in Game 5 or 6. And I think he'll come up with the deciding hit, especially once the series moves to LA. I could see him actually make an impact with his glove in the field as well. So we will see about that. I think JD Martinez is the most complete hitter on either team that's left in the playoffs, and he will come up in the clutch with a big hit to help the Red Sox win the World Series.
Yes. Tomorrow the Dodgers have Hyun-Jin Ryu on the mound, and the Red Sox are throwing David Price. What do you think about the pitching matchup?
I think this is interesting because David Price of past years, I don't want to say you couldn't rely on him, but it was not a sure thing when he was pitching. Now I think he's figured something out in the postseason. You mentioned he got his first win in the series against the Astros. The Red Sox have won his previous 2 postseason starts. I think Price has figured something out and will continue to dominate. And I think the Red Sox go to LA with a 2-0 series lead, which also means I'm predicting them to hang on and win tonight.
Yes, I do like David Price in that matchup as well. David Price figuring stuff out in the postseason, getting hot at the right time. Whereas Hyun-Jin Ryu, 7 runs allowed in the NLCS against the Brewers. Not his best outings by any stretch of the imagination. If the Dodgers are going to want a chance to win this game, Ryu is going to have a performance like he did in the NLDS against the Braves to give the Dodgers a chance in tomorrow's game. And then Game 3, the Red Sox do not have a starter announced yet, but the Dodgers will be starting Walker Buehler, who I would argue is the best pitcher the Dodgers have right now.
I think right now he is the best pitcher the Dodgers have, which might sound crazy to some when you think that they have Clayton Kershaw on their team. But Walker Buehler this postseason has been the best pitcher I think. And even if you want to go back to that game 163, he was really, really, really good against the Colorado Rockies in the tie-breaking game. And then continued his success in the NLDS and NLCS. Walker Buehler is going to be a star in this league for years to come. Could take over for Clayton Kershaw next year as the Dodgers ace if Kershaw decides to opt out of his contract. Free agency, though, that's a story for another day. Tonight we're all focused on the Fall Classic.
Yes, I think that's a game that the Dodgers will win. It's back at home for the Dodgers, back in California, back to familiar territory with your best pitcher on the mound. I think the home crowd will energize the Dodgers and they will win Game 3.
That's interesting you brought up the ballpark and it being familiar to the Dodgers. Fenway's not an easy park to play at if you haven't played there a lot before. Manny Machado, with all his time with the Baltimore Orioles, probably knows that stadium better than anyone on the Dodgers side of things, or at least Dodgers players. That outfield is a hard outfield to play, especially in right field. You don't really know where that ball is going once it hits off some of the walls out there. Kind of a strange layout in Fenway Park.
Even though left field is pretty easy to
Left
play.
field is probably the easiest left field to play in all of baseball. But there's a lot of unique things at Fenway Park that if you haven't played there before, you're not going to be used to it. And especially when you magnify that as if it's your first time playing it here and it's in the World Series, I think that could cause the Dodgers a bit of trouble going forward in this series.
Yes, I could definitely see that as a possibility. But we already said our predictions. We already gave you the next few games preview, I guess. Is there anything else you have for this episode that you would like to talk about other than postseason? Because that kind of dominates the news right now.
Yes, I do not think so. I think that
one bit of injury news that I would like to touch on really quickly. Jose Altuve is going to have surgery for his, I forget which leg, right or left, but knee has been bothering him for much of the second half of the season. There were rumors that he had been hurt for the postseason. AJ Hinch had said if it was the regular season, Altuve would not be playing, which I sort of find weird because he played through it all in the second half of the regular season anyways. But he had surgery. I do not know the timetable of his return, however. So we will keep an eye on that this offseason. One of the best hitters in the American League. So that is just something to keep an eye on. And we will give you updates when we learn more, I guess. But that is all the news for today's episode. So we would like to thank you guys for listening. Whenever and however you have listened, you have been listening to Extra Innings on National Sports Radio.